Welcome back to Wake Up Canada News. I'm Brad Wilder. Just too many secrets. That's the topic for today. A 12-year-old girl who does not want to take the COVID-19 vaccine cannot be mandated to do so, an Ontario judge has ruled in a family court dispute. The science relating to COVID-19 is developing, wrote Justice Christopher Corkery of the Ontario Superior Court. The facts, they're changing, he said. The dispute arose after the girl's unidentified father filed a motion with the court seeking to compel his ex-wife to have the girl vaccinated before the start of the school year. This, according to Blacklock's reporter. Now, it's keeping everyone in our community safe, the father told the court. It's keeping you safe, he said. The girl, described as an A student, wrote in an email that was submitted to the court saying that, "I do not want my COVID-19 vaccine." She noted that data have suggested people who have received both shots and the booster are still getting COVID, and that she heard from friends and their doctors are advising that children not get vaccinated. "This is my final decision," the girl wrote. "I do not want the vaccine. I hope my wishes will be respected." In Ontario, COVID-19 vaccines were first made eligible for youth aged 12 and above back in May of 2021. The provincial government said at the time that expanding the eligibility to children in this age group came at the request of some public health units to remove barriers for families requesting vaccines. Statistically, youth and children have rarely become seriously ill from COVID-19, and most who have ended up with severe symptoms have had other underlying health conditions. The Ontario court was told that the girl's mother is not against the COVID-19 vaccine, but is not prepared to force her daughter to be vaccinated against her will. Justice Corkery ruled he could not mandate vaccination, saying that, "I am satisfied she is able to reasonably form her own opinions." What are the health implications if children receive the current vaccine but skip some or all of the boosters, he said? What future COVID variant will boosters guard against? All questionable. These are all valid questions requiring answers which are currently unavailable, he added. It is improper for the court to predetermine future medical treatments at unknown times in unknown circumstances. The justice also noted that with informed consent, many factors should be considered in weighing the risks and benefits of receiving such a vaccine. Does safe mean there are no side effects? Corkery wrote. Is the vaccine effective in protecting her from contracting COVID-19, from spreading it, from dying from it, from severity of symptoms? Requiring her to be vaccinated against her will would not respect her physical, emotional, and psychological safety, security, and well-being, but would in fact put her at risk of serious emotional and psychological harm. That came from Andrew Chen, who's an Epoch Times reporter based in Toronto. Now, in this next article from Marie Oakes of the Westphalian Times, the Quebec government is buying up an additional 30 million masks for school children and staff, preparing for the return of mandatory masking. Really? Despite the end of COVID-19 measures in much of the world, Quebec government is still looking to buy an additional 30 million masks for the return to school. Despite most industrialized countries dropping COVID restrictions and learning to live with the virus, Quebec government is seeking to buy an additional 30 million masks for school children and staff. The government says that, well, for now, the mask will not be required for the return to school, but only if the current situation does not change. With COVID-19, seasonal peaks are to be expected in the fall. Cases will likely rise, and there is a growing fear in the province that the Quebec government will bring back those restrictions. The Quebec government of François Legault has prided itself on having the most COVID restrictions of all North American governments. For much of 2021, restaurants and stores were forcibly closed. As well, the government imposed a vaccine passport to enter restaurants and retail stores too. The government also imposed a mandatory curfew, twice, with fines of over $1,500 for individuals breaking the curfew. With 30 million adult masks, the Department of Education anticipates being able to distribute masks for a month and a half if masks are required to be worn at all times. If not, masks will be available for those who wish to continue wearing them, a spokesperson for the education minister said. The Quebec government, it's seeking to buy the 30 million masks so that schools may comply with the health measures that will be set forth by public health during the 2022-23 school term, confirming the government is likely going to bring back mandatory masking soon. Be concerned. You most likely won't want to believe this next story, but it seems it's all confirmed now. This piece comes from Marie Oakes, again of the Westphalian Times out of New York City. Former espionage officer says numerous Canadian politicians are on China's payroll. A former espionage officer says numerous Canadian politicians are secretly on China's payroll. This coming from Michael Katsuya, a former chief of the Asian Pacific Desk at the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. He told the Canadian Commons Ethics Committee that numerous Canadian politicians are on China's payroll. He said, "We had to monitor parliamentarians. There are elected officials at all levels, whether it's municipal, provincial, or even federal, who are being paid by foreign governments and who are not necessarily acting in the best interest of Canada." It's still happening today. Foreign agents try to recruit elected officials. It's fairly easy because, elected officials don't necessarily listen to security guidelines to protect themselves, Katsuya said. His warnings are consistent with a statement from the Cabinet to the Commons Foreign Affairs Subcommittee dating back to June of 2021. Now, during questioning, the Conservative MP Jasraj Singh Hallan inquired about the extent of China's influence. "How many in your experience have been monitored?" Hallan asked. "No, I cannot give you a definite number," the former espionage officer answered. "If, for example, I have colleagues working on the Russian desk, they will not know if I'm working on the Chinese desk. Some of the targets I have, what we know for sure is we have various foreign countries that succeeded in recruiting elected officials. Again, municipal, provincial, and federal were all capable of it being influenced this way," he added. "We also see that at the end of their mandate, cabinet ministers going to work for a foreign company that works directly against national security and the national interests of Canada. There's a certain concern when some people leave public office for what they've done during the public office and what they do after. Very often, the politician or elected official was not necessarily the initial target, but they actually came to our attention when we're watching foreign intelligence officers or foreign criminals or even Canadian criminals being in contact with them. It became a concern to either the Canadian Security Intelligence Service or the RCMP when these people demonstrate certain activities that were questionable in light of their responsible office," he added. In recent years, concerns have emerged over the Liberal government and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's close ties to the Chinese government. Before becoming Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau said, he admires China's basic dictatorship. Do you see now? Just too many secrets. I'm Brad Wilder. This is Wake Up Canada News. Remember, you're the voice. Time to speak up. I'll see you soon.